Is in controversy. Apparently, Anna Kasparian is in controversy because she retweeted about the Goyim, and people are calling her an anti-Semite. And I think that's really funny because that's their word for us, and it's the word that they use to describe us. But we can't use that word without being apparently an anti-Septite. Color me confused. So people are debating on Twitter whether or not like Goyim is a Yahtzee dog whistle. If you notice they're being bigots, that's bigotry. Exactly. It all goes back to that pesky little verb, notice. It's what happens when you notice too much. Here's what I was talking about earlier. Good thing Anna's on it because she's getting grilled. This is so silly. This guy, Kosher Cockney on Twitter, who I love to troll anytime he pops up in my feed. Paint the picture here for you that Anna retweeted some post, and in the post that she retweeted, it said the word Goyim. I forget the overall context, but so because she reposted someone that used that word, people are calling her, a not or an anti-Semite. And so she doubles down. She says, hey, bitch, the Goyim are waking the fuck up, deal with it. And so people are like now on her like a hawk. And I say people, of course, I mean reptilian Zionists, of course. But they're telling her that this is Nazi level This is the same people that defend a genocide of children, right? They're saying this is absolutely Nazi level shit, scum of the internet. So I just said, I quoted them and I said Nazi level shit, and it's just words, LOL, clown face. And what is the word? What's so offensive? This is what I just can't understand. This just baffles me. It amuses me. But the word is Goyim, and that is their word. That's the word that they came up with to other the non-Jews. They created this racial hierarchy of Jews and non-Jews, and they slandered the non-Jews with the word Goyim. So they created this word, and now that they're upset we found out about it, I guess, and that we're using it and we're now organizing against them through this framework that they established and imposed upon us. And now they're saying that we're the, anti-Semites. So I just say, you played yourself, cry harder. And it's nearly ratioed. That's nice.
Sorry to just cut it off there, but that's a bit of a long video, and so we can play a bit more of it later. But let's say hello.
Wait, hold on.
Sorry.
So you're asking me to stop it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a bit rude, or whatever. But I thought it would be probably good to. I should have didn't quite have enough time this morning. I sleep in too much, or whatever. But I should have clipped the moment that I wanted to stop at, and we just kind of had to get started.
Okay. So I saw a clip of a Turning Point USA debate or what have you. I mean, this dude was taking Charlie Kirk to task.
Right. Like, okay, but before we get into that,
really
let's bring our guest on stage, and so he's not just hanging out waiting for us. Sorry. I'm a little bit flustered this morning, obviously. How's it going, everybody?
All right, go ahead.
So I was just saying, before we get into too much of a discussion here, why don't we bring in our guest and say hello, and then he can be a part of our little discussion. How's it going, Indy?
What's up, fam? How are you?
Hi, Indy.
It's good to finally make it here on show.
Yeah, I've been meaning to have you on.
Indy, you have been such a huge supporter of us, and we really appreciate you. And then now you're here, and that just it just I don't know, it just feels so wonderful.
It does. From the time Mastermind Hour was on the show, I remember. I was there. I was OG there, day one.
Not OG.
I feel
when we figured out what to do and what channel to put Noteworthy on and what to call it and everything. I mean, I've been watching you guys and for now, God, 2 years already since all that nonsense.
It's been 2 years, yeah.
My goodness.
And we're slowly but surely growing. Slowly, it takes time,
It takes a ton of time.
I'm honored that we have viewers and like guests and whatnot, longtime listeners that are like such as you and some of the other people in the independent media space that have been doing it for a very long time. That you guys give us even the time of day at all is something that I think is really cool. So,
right.
Again, I've been a fan. I've enjoyed watching it, even when I disagree. But this is what it's all about: is learning and seeing different perspectives. And I love everything you have both been bringing, because you both bring a different kind of perspective than we don't normally see in the space, and it's a different conversation that's happening just about everywhere else. So right. I certainly appreciate that, and now I really enjoy what you've been doing with these open streams, where you'll go 5, 6, 7. I can't go 2.5, 3 hours. I'm spent.
Yeah.
So for you to go 5, 6, 7, and have guests float in and out and open the StreamYard to anyone who wants to join, I give you a ton of credit on that. That's just not how I would want to flow, and everybody's got their own way. And
we're just trying
grateful
different
for you.
things to see, like what the people might want. So we might continue it, or we might do something else.
Yeah, hopefully people keep wanting to come on, because it's harder for me. It's better when we get a large panel of people who are really interested in it, and because that's where we can sit here all day long trying to tell everybody what to believe, or what socialism is, or what Zionism is, and whatnot. But we need people to participate in the discussion. Like, if you really want the grassroots movement, or for uplifting of the lower class, like, they have to participate. You can't do top-down instruction, So,
yeah, I came from the chats. This is where I started too. We all started like watching live streams and chatting and being like, I think I could do this too. Like, I got stuff to say. I got opinions like the people I'm watching. I know. Yep. I feel like I know as much as they do from watching them and watching everything else in the space, or at least something, and to have my own take. That's kind of how I started doing this.
That's how I started. I was like, I grew up in a political family, My father was a Republican, my mother was a Democrat, and my father was very, very adamant about his Republican beliefs, and like did fundraisers for mayors and governors. Like that's how deep he was in it. And so I kind of understand them a little bit. And I was like, well, I feel like I'm just talking in my four walls. And I'm talking to people that don't want to hear what the hell I got to say because they are like, they're stuck in their beliefs because most of my family are Democrats and I'm neither. And I'm just like, why do I keep talking to them? They're not listening, or they don't want to. They don't want to take in what I have to say. Well, let me take this elsewhere. Let me see if there's other people out there like me. And sure enough, there are. I still try to convince my family though, because that's what you should do when you love somebody.
Right. Well, it's a good that you mentioned that, as far as like the topic of the day is about left-wing anti-Zionism and right-wing anti-Zionism, and like how much like reaching across the aisle and cooperation can we do. There's a lot of like they're never gonna change, been trying to get them to see the way that we see. They just never, like the whole duopoly thing, like the Democrats just want to hate the Republicans want to hate the Democrats, right? Fascists just want to hate communists just want to hate fascists, right? How do we are we ever going to get along? And it's like, I think we need to actually kind of get into some of the reasons why we think it's important not to work with some people. Like I wanted to stop that video at the beginning because I wanted to hear what Indy's take was on specifically what maybe we should go back and play a little bit of again, because Indy's a Jewish comrade here, and he's got a different opinion maybe about how
I didn't know you were Jewish, Indy.
Is being used in the media space, right?
Oh,
I am an anti-Zionist Jew. Pretty outspoken about it.
I did not know you were Jewish. Okay, so so that's why you wanted to bring him on when I was saying those words, Michael. That makes sense. Thank you. I apologize. So I was watching this this Turning Point USA debate with Charlie Kirk, and the guy was talking about goyams, and he said, goyam just means nation. Is that accurate? Does goyam mean nation? Because I thought it meant really cattle.
I mean, the way I always had it refer, like, look, I heard it my whole life as a word kind of thrown around. It was definitely derogatory, and it just meant anyone who isn't Jewish, whether that was someone who was Muslim or someone who was Catholic or someone who was non-faith whatsoever. It didn't matter. Anyone who wasn't Jewish, it was like you weren't. In that way, it was part of the club, but it's anyone who wasn't part of the club. But it wasn't anything to say that like they're lower than. It just meant not one of us. That's all. It just meant not one of us, and that was all I ever took it to mean. They don't think like us, and that was not necessarily a slur to say that they don't think or that they were stupid. It's just that people were taught differently to think in different terms, and a lot of times what that came down to was financial stuff. And I heard that a lot coming from the conservative, from the Zionists around me, and it was the goyams. They don't really think quite like we do when it comes to investing and saving and money, and they would rather, again, hard to explain.
No,
we hear you. I just instinctively said, like, I don't think that word means nation.
No, it's definitely not nation.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't mean nation, but that's what Charlie Kirk was saying to the people in his audience. Like, that's all it means. And I was like, no, it don't.
just the typical thing about not having to have any kind of historical accuracy about the way that we talk about things, especially things that we don't even like, things that we are opposed to. So when you're talking about like the word was mostly used when you're talking about financial things, as far as the anti-Semitic use of the word Jew. When I'm growing up as a kid, I saw a lot of people. I just learned that that's the word that you use when you're talking about people who are like penny pinchers, people who are maybe greedy, you call them a Jew and stuff. And it's like, that's what you get taught as what is normal as a kid. And you don't realize that's not normal at all. That's actually toxic, kind of discriminatory, derogatory bullshit. So, but the Nazis like to act like, because the Jews are the ones originally being exclusionary by creating the other, by otherizing everybody else, and basically because they want to maintain their culture, their community. They want to have autonomy over their self-reliant community more so, as opposed to just being openly assimilated into the community of everyone else, kind of thing. You can't exactly hold it against people for wanting to be in charge of their culture. Is that, would you say that that's kind of a big motivation for that, Indy?
Yeah, and again, remember, all of this goes back to usury. Why all of this is happening is because, with regard to the Catholic Church, they couldn't loan each other money with commission, with interest, or whatever it was. And that was how the Jews became the bankers, because they didn't have such beliefs.
And I'm still against that. Like, that's the funny thing, right? Like, I was raised Christian, right? And one thing that I can learn to understand how, not all Jews bad, kind of thing, not all Christians good, right? But then I'm still not thinking that interest is a good thing for the economy. And then maybe some people think the economy doesn't work without interest. Good luck.
But didn't usury go out the window with Christians? Because Joe Biden himself set up that whole state of Delaware where they could charge exorbitant amounts of interest on credit cards and loans. That's what Delaware is. And I'm like, I thought he was a Christian. Like, what happened to the usury law?
Yeah,
if you're
he got bought by the credit card companies. He became they called him the senator from MBNA. He basically represented the banks and turned Delaware into the tax haven that it was, and cemented himself as a legacy politician for decades in the process.
Oh, yeah. Like old man Parker said, oh, yeah. So it's amazing to me how people hold on to these labels that they aren't even the things that the label says that it is. They have no connection to it at all, other than it sounds good for the people who I'm trying to get to come to my side. And I guess it works very well when you have an entire nation that has a 5th, 6th grade reading level. Not all of us, but I mean, for the most part, on average. So it is a manipulation tactic.
Yeah.
And I've always said that education was a matter of national security. And I think they know that, and that's why they have dumbed down our education system to where it is now. Because they know this, and they don't want this for us. They want us to be dumb and full of cum.
That's right.
Well, yes, but George Carlin famously said they want us to be just smart enough to run the machines and dumb enough not to realize how badly we're getting fucked by the system, effectively. And it's absolutely true. They want obedient workers. They don't want thinkers. So what they've done is they've made higher education incredibly expensive and then liberalized it out to the point that you're not getting out of college with a real education as to how to operate a business from scratch, how to really sustain yourself, which is what you're supposed to be prepared in college was for, a higher education so that you can operate businesses. But what you have is these guys then going to accounting firms or the stock market, or now they're doing crypto stuff, which is a whole other mess. There's a lot I want to get into with you guys when it comes to this, because we've got our brother Golden Monarch in the chat, and Golden Monarch, he's been one of the most stringent people who's been calling out the crypto grift since the day I met him.
Yes,
to the point where I encouraged him to start writing and publishing about this information, because I think it's so valuable, and I think he had information that people weren't getting anywhere else. So I'm so proud that he did that. I had him on for a couple of one-on-ones already. It's goldenmonarchdomain.substack.com now. He changed it.
Oh, he changed it? Oh,
yeah, he had to. It's Golden Monarch Domain. So, and he publishes articles trying to expose the grift of crypto. It's great. And a lot of that, and his first article was that crypto and Bitcoin is a Zionist entity because it serves Zionist narratives, and it serves Zionist purposes to have control over money, to digitize everything, and to have no assets behind a perception of money. It makes it a lot easier for them to manipulate, move stuff around, and control it, and to turn off a wallet or seize somebody's assets if need be.
That's important.
I just want confirmation that that's correct.
Oh, that they. Oh yeah, the Golden Monarch domain. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That looked good.
I was gonna say, the Epstein files really vindicated Golden Monarch's position on Zionist Bitcoin. I think a lot of people that are more pro cryptocurrency and like less have less animosity towards Bitcoin, they kind of would brush off the Zionist attachment. Where what are you associating these things that don't have anything to do? And then Epstein files come out and reveal that he was like neck deep in making sure that Bitcoin happened and everything. And that funding
three of the five guys that were actually involved in architecting the initial code were funded by Epstein.
Exactly. So when Golden Monarch said Zionist Bitcoin, he was Cryptodamus or whatever. He was fucking Nostradamus, Golden Monarch, whatever, predicted that shit ahead of time, right?
So,
and there were a lot of people that were doing it. He was just reading it. He was paying attention to an area that nobody else in our space really was. And that's what I look for in independent media. When I'm looking, bring me a perspective nobody else has from an angle that nobody else is bringing it from, so I can learn and get smarter in a way that I would never otherwise learn it. And that's what he does for me. You guys do that for me. And that's what I try to bring on Indie News Now. I tried to bring it on How Did We Miss That while I was doing that show with Reeve. And but again, I want to get back to anti-Zionism and left versus right.
Right.
And remember, left versus right.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's still like a construct. I still, yes, there is definitely
there's no verses. There's no verses.
Collective community, right? It's all us against the one percenters, and there's definitely different motivations. And yes, you've got your neo-Nazis that certainly are, it's not just about Zionism, and because look, there's more Christian Zionists than there are Jews in the world. In the United States, the Christian Zionists. Okay, there's like 25 million Christian Zionists, right? At least.
A big relationship with fascism too, and that's like the I wanted to get into the memes, like the noticing, the great noticing, like a lot of the video that we were showing with Rathbone. He was talking about I think the title of the video was is Goyim a Nazi dog whistle? And my answer to he answered it no. My answer is yes, it is. There's other dog whistles that he's been using that I picked up on the fact because he uses them repeatedly, and so the people with his audience too. So the noticer, the way they use goy and the zog, you know, they've heard the Zionist occupied government. These are Nazi dog whistles. Okay?
That's a hard one for me, because how else do you describe when Zionists, both on the Christian and the Jewish side, have effectively bought off the majority of our politicians to the point where you could say that they are an occupied government? So
Exactly.
that one kind of bothers, though the way they call it and they go the Zog or whatever. And sometimes it's done in jest, but still it's using their language to make the joke. And that further validates that. The difference is anti-Zionist or anti-Jewish. All right. And what I see Rathbone doing is more anti-Jewish. And there are a lot of Jews that are opposed to Zionism. There are a lot of Jews that are not bought in whatsoever to Zionism or to any real part of Judaism. They're just cultural Jews, let's call it. They like to eat bagels, and maybe they'll go to temple twice a year, if that, if ever. They don't observe Shabbat. They're not kosher. They're culturally assimilated Americans that barely have a religion at all, but call themselves Jews because everybody else is a Christian. We know we're definitely not one of those. Unfortunately, we're different. We were raised different. That's how our parents raised us. That our parents all got here differently, and you have a lot of, that's where I see the divide, is in the people that are just saying, you know, it's all just the Jews, and it doesn't matter whether it was what the position of that whether they're against Israel or not, they're a problem. That I don't understand. I don't see that. And I think that there is a large percentage of the right wing, called the Trump supporting side, that doesn't make the distinction between Zionism and Christianity and Judaism. And the fact that Zionism is not Judaism, it's because you've had this effort by the Israel lobby. Remember, Israel is Christian Zionists, fundamentalist Christian Zionists that believe in end times Christianity, that want to ensure that the Jews are in control of Israel so that their savior can return.
Yeah.
That's the Glenn Beck wing of the media. I believe Charlie Kirk was also an end timeser.
Right? They don't really have common cause with Jews. They just want to use them so their prophecy can be really
They
realized.
name them Judeo-Christians, which doesn't make sense. That's like an oxymoron. So I don't know how they put those two things together.
Well, it's because Jesus was Jewish and then founded the religion of Christianity. So that's the and not only that, but the Bible, the first 5 books of the Bible are the Torah, the Jewish Bible, the Jewish Torah. Then you get into them talking about the Talmud and all the stuff that's in the Talmud and all these other scriptures that most of the Jews that I know never have talked about once. That's where you get into like the deeply religious Chabad level
what about the
Zionists?
Book of Enoch with the Coptic Jews? The Coptic Jews.
I thought they're Coptic Christians.
I'm not familiar with that.
Sorry, Coptic Christians. You're right. Yeah. Not Coptic Jews. That was a misspeak. Thank you.
The Book of
Coptic
Enoch.
Christians. The Book of Enoch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a thing that they found after more recently. I think more in like the 1900s, and then so for centuries people were taught the Old Testament and the New Testament as it was known, and then only after some archaeology happened in the Middle East in the past couple like century and a half, now there's some updated scriptures and whatnot that some people don't really know about or haven't really that's kind of a different topic, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much time you have in
today.
I flew the coop with that one. I do have 2 questions. Since you are Jewish, I want to ask you this. two questions. I'm gonna go with one is more complex than the other, but have you heard about the deed theft that's been going on in Brooklyn, where
Yes.
they're trying to like annex Bushwick, Crown Heights, and Prospect Park?
Block voting is the way that they're effectively trying to do it. If I am correct, they've done this in a couple of different towns in New York State. In Kiryas Joel, Muncie, New York, Lakewood, New Jersey is another town where they effectively, the really ultra religious Orthodox Jews start buying up houses, and then they start voting as a block. They all get religious exemptions because they are all technically rabbis and their houses are religious institutions. So they pay no taxes. A lot of them are actually on Medicaid. And then welfare. They start and welfare, right? Because they have, well, they may be welfare, but they live on charitable donations because they're considered to be temples. Each one of the fathers of these households are rabbis.
Because they don't get married under the, have a marriage license. So then they qualify for welfare. The women qualify for welfare, but they get married within the church, but there's no actual paper that is like
oh, that's interesting, because I certainly signed a paper in Hebrew when I got married. It's called a ketubah, and it's like a piece of artwork, effectively.
I'm talking about a marriage license with the court system.
Yes, I know what you're saying. So you're saying like that there's a one filed with effectively the religious court, but not one filed with the official state national courts.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. I used to work in real estate in New York City, so that's how I learned about this. But deed theft is a totally different thing, which is really crazy to me, where they would go into public records and stuff. It would usually be like elderly people or people who own the home but don't actually live there, and they would forge documents and get a quick claim deed moved into their name, because they will have notaries that would, they're all in cahoots with one another, and the person that owns the home doesn't even realize that this theft is happening to them until sometimes it's too late.
Wow.
It's you should look it up. It's a big deal, because
I remember seeing a video of a guy basically saying like, I own this building, and somebody saying, no, you don't. Like, you don't own this building. And he's like, I've got a piece of paper here saying I do. I know exactly what. I saw a video about that recently, but I didn't pay too close, and I'm certainly going to go back and look for it now.
And I forget the congressperson who is leading the charge to ask the governor of New York to put forth some laws to protect consumer protection against deed theft.
Interesting.
Because they're stealing like Black people's homes in those specific areas that are very like concentrated with Jewish people. So specifically Bushwick, Crown Heights, and Prospect Park.
Sure.
Prospect Park. Mm-hmm. So yeah, look into that, because I think you would find that very interesting and very disgusting.
It's reprehensible.
I never heard of that
exactly.
either. Thanks, Abby.
You're welcome. So then the second question, which is more not as nuanced, it's more like gritty, is a lot of people will confuse being Jewish as a race and not a religion. And I find that bothers me.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
It's very strange. So I was wondering what you thought about that, if you wanted to go into that a little bit.
Yeah, Jewish is a religion. There are Jews of all races, creeds. The weirdest is when you see Chinese Jews, right? Or there are Jews in Britain, and there are Jews in Africa. A lot of Africa, Somalia and Ethiopia has a ton of Jews.
Yes.
Right?
Iran has a ton of Jews.
And their temple just got bombed by Israel, of all things. Okay, because remember, Israel isn't just about Judaism; it's about Zionism. And this is one of the things I talked about last night.
As a race, that really bothers me because they won't stop saying that, and I'm like, but anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. Again, there's people of all races and types and who lived all over the world, from Africa to West Asia to Europe to North America. We're all Jews. So is there any specific type or characteristic? No, there's not.
Something
Latino.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I mean, again, of all people who speak all languages from just about every country in the world. So how do you say that it's a race? You can't. It's a religion.
Well, I was going to say, I think one thing that maybe causes this to happen, it's just the way that language works. I think the term Jewish kind of refers to a place more so than, like, the way that the term Jewish and Christian and Muslim came about is kind of interesting from a linguist perspective, because Jewish refers to, like, Judea as like the people who come from there, but then the terms change and everything. And a Christian, it's more about a follower of Christ. And then with Islam, it's like surrendering to God. So the word that we use to describe the religion in and of itself has a very different, I just find this like fascinating that they have very different connotations, right?
I have to say that I tend to disagree. I think it comes from colonialism and trying to take the term for one group of people over everyone else. That's how I feel. I don't know if that's what it feels like to me, but I don't know if that's the case for anybody else. But that's what it feels like to me.
Right.
We got to get into our topic.
Right.
Because how long are we going to have you here, Indy? We're like 30
I probably got at least another hour and change. You know, the kids are we got an extra time today because they all have activities, thankfully.
Oh, good.
So that's awesome.
We're good.
Might have to rush things.
We're good.
I'm going to let you start, Michael, for a second. I'm going to go check on my mom real quick again, just to make sure. We had a little situation today, Indy, so I got to make sure I'm checking on her, like every hour or so. So I'll be back.
We'll go do that. Okay, sure.
All right, see you in a bit. So for however you want to take this, I think we can go in two directions here. I had a clip from Nick Cruz and Jimmy Dore. They recently were picking up off of what Rathbone was doing in his stream about the Goyim as a dog whistle. So their video is called CNN Claims You Are Anti-Semitic for Opposing the Iran War. And in that video, they're doing the thing about how we're not, like, they're trying to make Jimmy's trying to make the distinction. We're talking about Zionists, not Jews. But then they go buddy with Rathbone all the time, who is intentionally kind of blurring the distinction between anti-Zionist and anti-Jewish with all of his anti-Semitic tropes that he's actively engaging in, and then denying that there's an actual anti-Semitism that he's employing. And so I think that there's a little bit of the that's kind of how it works, so we could analyze
both sides. Yeah.
Or the other way we could go is we can look more at, I got some like articles about the memes, like the noticer meme and the Great Noticing and the Zog thing. I think it's important to point out to people. I don't think everybody knows where Zog comes from. It comes from this Turner, you know, the Turner Diaries, the 1978 novel by William Luther Pierce.
Yeah, let's. Right. Why don't we start there? Yeah, let's do that. Then we'll get into the Nick and Jimmy stuff.
Sure. Okay, because this is the important thing that people are. If you don't do the historical materialism, then you can kind of decide what the history is without, like actually like letting history be, like represent itself. You know. So we don't talk like Nazis. This is in no way a neutral descriptive term. This article is from Kelly Hayes, organizingmythoughts.org. I don't know. But this is what comes up when I'm looking for Zog, origin of the term and stuff. This week, whatever, well, I don't know when this was written, 2024, leftists on multiple social media platforms debated whether the acronym Zog is an accurate or acceptable descriptor for the United States government. The term Zog, which stands for the Zionist-occupied government, was popularized by the Turner Diaries, a 1978 novel by neo-Nazi William Luther Pierce. Pierce was the founder and chairman of National Alliance, a white supremacist political organization that once had an annual income of $1 million. The neo-Nazi organization The Order, which was modeled after a militant white supremacist group in the Turner Diaries, committed armed robberies and funneled the proceeds to leaders of several neo-Nazi organizations, including Pierce. Members of The Order also assassinated talk show host Alan Berg. Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh had a copy of the Turner Diaries in his possession when he was arrested and had been known to sell and distribute copies of the book. In the Turner Diaries, white supremacists rebel against a Zionist-occupied government and ultimately exterminate Black people, Indigenous people, people of color, and Jewish people. As someone with anti-fascist politics, this article writer long considered any use of the term Zog to be an obvious indication that someone held fascist beliefs and likely harbored fantasies about cleansing society of marginalized people. So why are some people on the left using this language? And this is where I think this article's kind of come full circle, you know, like when we're talking about this person considered any use of the term Zog to be an obvious indication that someone holds fascist beliefs. And now in our independent media circles, based on our anti-Zionist activism, now we're running into the same problem. Is like we're asking the same question that they're asking at the beginning. Leftists on multiple platforms are debating whether the term's accurate or acceptable. You said just earlier on this show here.
Right. How do you describe it otherwise? Because what happened in 1978 was not that the Zionists, again, both Christian and Jewish, had bought our politicians off to this level. So you're not really comparing apples to apples here. This was a fictitious book where one scenario had happened. But no, continue. I mean, again, I think it's interesting.
When I find it,
okay, I just got here. I didn't read any of this, but Timothy McVeigh, they say is Paul. He works for the FBI.
Right. It was a setup. The whole thing.
Exactly.
Like
right.
Oklahoma City, you know, a lot of this. And I want to know who left this on multiple social media platforms where I wasn't debating that then. But, you know, again, who are these people even defined are leftists? Exactly. You know, are we talking DSA people? Are we talking PSL?
Jump to conclusions.
But I did cover this once, Michael, if you remember, as a conspiracy theory, right. Where his name Paul Ogle or something. He works for the FBI. He was like the primary on the shooting at, I forgot what shooting it was. Jeez, I covered the whole thing. It's like the same person. He's like, they have the same voice. They have the same face. Like, I'm convinced that my father is Timothy McVeigh. It was really interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what
I'll see if I can find it.
Like, that's where
that he was a patsy, effectively, right?
Yeah.
Right. That he was working for them all along, and then he went away, right? Okay, he was in prison, sure, maybe, Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But then he reemerged as a very prominent person in the FBI. I'm gonna see if I can find it, but you can keep going. I know I saw something about Black people and indigenous. I picked that up right away.
Right. No, I appreciate that little intervention there. Like that when you shared that little conspiracy with me, that's where I found that coming across this kind of information here about the term Zog and everything and its origins, that's more relevant than people realize. It's not just some, trivial historical fact, especially when we're seeing conspiracy theories going around today about specifically like Timothy McVeigh and whatnot. And the thing about it's hard for us to deny that the government is not occupied by Zionists, but when we're talking about everything is a psyop or whatever set up by the FBI and CIA or whatever, it makes a whole lot of sense. Like maybe it's part of the goddamn playbook that they let the government have the complete appearance of Zionist occupation so as to create the groundswell support for Nazism, because it's like all narratives that they have control over because they got this goddamn surveillance system, right?
Well, I don't know if they they could have dictated to loosen the chains on the Citizens United law that would then allow corporations and individuals to effectively give unlimited sums of money to political campaigns, and then foresee that 9 years later that the AIPAC decided that they wanted to get involved in actually funding campaigns rather than just having kind of behind the scenes influence through other cutouts and shadows, rather than just donating directly, and all of a sudden dumped an unprecedented record amount of money across the board, basically on every politician to buy their favor and to buy their silence and to buy their allyship, which worked.
Right.
And you ended up with 85% of Congress voting pro-Israel stuff, and the other 15% either being marginalized or having to go along in order to get the things that they want accomplished done, and in trade-offs and horse trading, because that's the only thing this is the main priority of a lot of Congress. Medea Benjamin, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but she walks in the hallways of Congress. She challenges these people. She asks them on camera tough questions, and they are not shy about being hostile to her and about what their motivations are.
Is that the cold pink lady?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I did find the video, by the way, so whenever you're ready, I can cue it up. But
all right,
let's go ahead and finish.
Well, this is pretty long.
I don't know where
I'm not sure as far as, but maybe I should just read a little bit more so that people get a little bit more. So let me
Here you go. This is a good spot.
I'll read this first question, and then I'll just put the link in the chat if people want to follow up on it more. Because there's only so much time in the day, right? So this interview has been lightly edited for clarity. Kelly Hayes says, some people on the left have debated the term Zog this week. Can you tell us a bit about what you've seen regarding that controversy and offer some background on the term Zog? So the term Zog is an abbreviation for Zionist occupied government. This is in no way a neutral descriptive term. It comes from very explicit neo-Nazi anti-Semitism and has become one of the primary ways fascists understand not just Israel and Zionism, but the ruling class in general as what they believe is a distinctly Jewish phenomenon. Part of why I think this is difficult for some on the left to reckon with is that many of these terms we use regularly do not have centralized definitions. Their meanings can be heavily contested. The meaning of Zionism itself is frequently debated, meaning different things to different people. Generally, from leftist critics of Israel, we understand Zionism as a political project to colonize historic Palestine and maintain a specifically Jewish state whose existence hinges on the preferencing and hegemony of a Jewish demographic majority. The alternative to that would be some of the different proposed arrangements that help to ensure democracy, equality, and safety for all residents of the region, at least if someone from a dependably left-wing perspective is speaking. For neo-Nazis, Israel is simply one small element of what Zionism is, which they see as the political operationalism of Jewishness itself. Zionism is the project of global Jewish control by which Jews seed themselves into dominant institutions to manipulate them and turn them towards supposedly homogenous Jewish interests. Those interests are the destruction of the white race in traditional societies, often through perversion and thought control, so that Jews can ultimately rule over them. Unlike supposedly natural and normal empires and states, which in this formulation emerge from the white Volk and are part of a supposedly harmonious white ethnic identity, Zog is a parasitic, diseased manifestation of an outside influence using the best Aryan traits against Aryan interests so that they can further centralize resources, power, and hierarchies. There is a ruling class in this formulation, but it's not the capitalists. Instead, the true rulers are Jews, and the non-Jewish ruling class are either puppets of Zog or soon to become puppets. This term, yeah, right. You want me to pause there?
Wait, let me stop you there, because this week, one of those alleged puppets was taken down in a sex scandal that people knew about for a long time. And all of a sudden, they're looking to funnel down to the number of people in the California race for governor on the Democratic side, because right now there's 2 Republicans that are leading the race in a knockout primary. So that it literally could be Republican versus Republican for California governor. And Democrats are like, no, we need to coalesce around one person. Somebody's got to concede. Nobody was going to concede. No, they're using their own internal methods to, I believe, take down the people that they either would not get in line, that they told to get in line. All right. And because you didn't play ball, we're going to take you out at your knees. Now, is that Zionist? No, I believe that that's the party itself. I think that there are people that have blackmail elements. That's Eric Swalwell, by the way, I'm talking about. And now you've got Katie Porter and a billionaire, Tom Steyer, left in the race. Who do you think the Democrats are going to prefer? I can only imagine which one's going to come out as the candidate. My guess is they're going to go with Steyer. I don't know. That's my prediction, though. Right? But so that plays into that kind of a narrative that, look, everybody's known about Swalwell. Everybody's known about his affairs. But this week, TMZ run by Harvey Levin. And who's Harvey Levin? Right? And they start drawing all these comparisons, and it almost makes it sound like they just described fact rather than Aryan neo-Nazi stuff, because of the behavior that we've seen around us, which has never happened before like this.
Exactly.
Right. But
it's the if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck thing. So that's where people say, if it walks like when they're saying like this, the true rulers are Jews and the non-Jewish ruling class are either puppets or soon to become puppets. And then when they see that, then they say, well, then I guess that validates the Nazi narrative here, because what I'm seeing in reality is matching what they're saying in the past and everything. But
from the Epstein files to saying that he represents the Rothschilds. Yeah, I mean, they're to the Soros demonization.
It's just really important with the duck thing that people actually forget. Like, I have to maybe call it up right now, but it comes from this guy who made a mechanical duck and then like showed it to people, and then the saying comes from, well, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it is a duck. But it's actually not a duck, because the whole thing comes from a guy who made a mechanical duck, and then people say it qualifies as a duck because it is close enough. But it's definitely not a duck because it's a fucking robot. Okay, I'll have to call that right up. But that is a really subtle distinction, and because people don't know the history of that, they think that when they use the expression of if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, then we're saying if it sounds like a fascist, then it is a fascist, right? Or if it sounds like the Jews rule the world, then because they do. You know what I mean? So it's a bad mistake that people need to correct.
Yeah, sure.
So why you pull that up? Should I show this conspiracy theory?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why are you pulling that up? Okay. So I'll remove yours. And I'll show my conspiracy theory. Okay. Like, everybody can draw their own conclusions, but let's see what he has to say. And it is from Facebook, y'all. So if it lags and stuff, I apologize. And Golden Monarch is cooking in the chat. Okay. Golden Monarch Domain. He changed his screen name too. Wonderful. All right.
Has compelling theories as to what happened at the Alfred P. Murrah building and why Mick Wysopal and Timothy McVeigh are the same person. Please tell me. You guys know me. I'll die on this hill that my dad, Paul Wysopal, the FBI agent, is also Timothy McVeigh, the domestic terrorist who blew up the Oklahoma City building, the Murrah building, in 1995. Now, I know to my core, this is the same exact person. If you don't know, go to my top pinned video on Instagram here and listen to their voices. It's the same exact person. So here's what I think is going on and why this is the case. This picture is from a video of him literally outside of the Branch Davidians thing in Waco when the government went and assaulted the Branch Davidians and supposedly killed everyone in there, including a whole bunch of women and children and stuff. But Timothy McVeigh was there, and then a couple years later, the Oklahoma City bombing, okay? So, and then a few years after that, he pops up again, and he's outside of the Pulse nightclub shooting in like 2016 or whatever in Orlando. He's the special agent in charge of basically covering up that the Orlando nightclub shooting was done by another MK Ultra guy. Like, the guy was crazy, dude. He was like clearly not crazy in like the crazy delusional, like, oh, he's just doing a domestic terrorist. No, he was crazy in like the MK Ultra way. Like, he kept calling the 911 over and over and over again, like, while supposedly doing the shooting. Then Paul covered up all of the audio recordings. We don't have any of those audio recordings of him calling 911. Paul hid everything about this. So it got me thinking, and I go, okay, so the FBI and the ATF clearly did the Murrah building. We know that. There's been suspicion about that for decades at this point. And then you've got Paul Wysopal showing up as Timothy McVeigh back in the day. The through line there is the FBI. Paul literally works for the FBI, okay? When I saw that Paul was Timothy McVeigh and he works for the FBI, that's when it all clicked, dude. All of these domestic terror incidents, this, Orlando, the Pulse nightclub shooting, Columbine, the Boston bombing, 9/11, who is connected to all of that? Fucking FBI, dude. Always. Who's in charge of all the Epstein stuff and the fact that none of the files are getting released and the DOJ doesn't give a shit about prosecuting any of it? The FBI. Who's in charge of the Diddy stuff and nothing ever gets out and only Diddy's in trouble? The FBI. Who put Ghislaine Maxwell in prison and was like, there are no clients? What are you talking about? The FBI. Who covers up all the child trafficking and all the sex trafficking rings in America? The FBI, dude. They were running the Franklin scandal. They were flying planes of kids to D.C. from Nebraska for the fucking pedophile elite Epstein class, bro. It's the FBI. So sure, like, people are always like, oh, he did it to cover up for Bill and Hillary. I think it's bigger than that. It's about creating domestic terror incidents because this shit gives them legs for years. It lets them do all this fear tactic shit and scare everyone, and it also lets them do like Patriot Act type shit. So Paul was always, and the FBI, the CIA, Mossad, they're all an intelligence agency that works together. They all work together, yep. Okay? So Paul, in all likelihood, I think is part of this Lebensborn program of all these Nazis where he's either cloned or he's just, it doesn't matter, honestly. He's raised in this weirdo, Baal-worshipping occult family who is taking over the entire world together. They're all like Habsburg descended, fucking lizard, Freemason, occult loser idiots. But more than that, they're just a bunch of dumb people who are in a family together, who are literally pulling the wool over our eyes, and we're not believing our own eyes and our own fucking ears, bro. Paul is Timothy. Fucking denying it. Stop not listening to your eyes. Go listen to your ears and listen to my top pinned video. I swear to God, boys. The dude has the same gravelly, grumbly voice. Voices are fingerprints, essentially, especially if you have a musical ear, bro. But yeah, this is literally what the FBI does. It's not like this was like a fluke. This is like, oh, why did the FBI do this? Oh, they must have really needed to cover up the Hillary and Bill's files. What do you mean? They could have just pulled those out and fucking incinerated. Honestly, they probably already did that. It's more about this. It's about the spectacle. It's about the Boston bombing of it all. It's about the 9/11 of it all. It's about the Challenger explosion of it all. I mean, the FBI covers up Pizzagate. It covers up the Russia scandal. It covers up everything, dude. The fact that Trump hates Robert Mueller so much and wished and was glad that he died is hilarious, because I guarantee that Robert Mueller was hiding he did. He hid the whole Russia thing. He didn't let people know that Trump is literally fucking a Russian asset, if not an Israeli asset. You know what I mean? Like, the FBI works for the
He's
lizard elite, and they like this. They like fear. They like scaring us. They like you thinking
more
that
an Israeli asset.
No, yeah. I think he's more of an Israeli asset than a Russian. I think they play up this Russian asset thing.
It was all based on the Steele dossier, which he admitted was bullshit.
The problem with the whole Russian, dismissing the idea that Russia has a kind of a friendly relationship with the Trump administration, whatnot, that's a little, I've been finding kind of problematic when I'm doing the research on these Narushites, because I'm saying that Putin and like Viktor Orban, there's a whole host of the Narendra Modi or whatever, like there's the Trump like figures in these other countries, and Putin definitely has had a very comfortable relationship with Israel and the Zionists, far more than we should ever be accepting of. Putin gets a pass somehow. So,
well, not really. I mean, he came out 2 weeks ago and was like, there are 2 million Russians living in Israel right now. You know, Israel is practically a suburb of Russia in that sense. I would not give him a pass whatsoever.
But because Russia's alliance with China, that's why. So sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, because that's exactly why it is because communists support China. China's made a deal with Russia. Therefore, when we're critical of Israel, it sort of stops when it comes to Russia, because it's so that important that they win. This bigger fight.
It doesn't even have to go to Russia. China is Israel's #1 financial trading partner, and it ain't even close.
Right.
To the tune of $20 billion a year. It's not even close.
Yeah. And when you look at all the prime ministers of Israel, they all changed their names to make them sound more Hasidic or whatever.
Middle Eastern, yes.
Middle Eastern, but they all came from Russia, Ukraine, Poland, Germany,
Czech Republic.
They're all Eastern European, and they all changed their names to make them sound like they were Middle Eastern. No, you're colonizers. That is who you are.
That's why they can't do 23andMe or they can't do DNA testing in Israel, because they'll find out that 99% of their heritage comes from Eastern Europe, and they have no claim to the land. 3,000-year bullshit. If that's the case, then every single Zionist in America needs to leave their house right now and hand it to a Native American, because 3,000 years ago, the land that they sit on belonged to a Native American. So if you're going to play that bullshit, that 3,000-year-old bullshit, you got to play it everywhere, not just where it doesn't affect you. And I've never once heard anybody counter that argument.
And the craziest part about it is they try to convince the world that Israel is the only Jewish state. There is a completely Jewish state in southeastern Russia.
Created by Stalin, I believe, yeah. But that was kind of a failure. That was
they're still there. They're
No, I
there.
know, but what I mean is he created that in a sense to encourage people to flock there in the same way that their people were going to Israel. But because Israel existed, they didn't, like, that place didn't take off in the way that Israel did.
Well, and we've always talked about why did it have to be Palestine? Okay, well, that goes back to the goal of the Zionists originally from the mid to late 1800s, where they were already meeting to with the goal of colonizing Palestine at that point. Okay, they wanted to get back to build the third temple, and then you had the Zionist Conference of 1898. You had the Balfour Declaration of, I think it's 1913. And all of these steps, and then you had Jewish terror throughout all of the Arab countries throughout the 1930s to scare and to terrorize Jews to make them believe that Israel or that Palestine would be the only safe place for them. Right. That was exactly the goal. And I think they're trying to do that here. This is what he's, in a way, trying to say in this video, which is that keeping the people on edge because they're going to be worried about terrorism, and then controlling the rebuild afterwards, which is something that I talked about last night on my show, which is how Larry Ellison and Oracle and the CIA, Larry Ellison, also the largest funder of the IDF, is the one who has the groundwork to lay for all of the infrastructure contracts on the data and the software once the rebuild happens for Gaza. And now they're talking about for Lebanon. And now you're talking, the goal would be potentially to get to the 90 million people living in Iran. And they're trying to
infiltrate Kenya as well.
Right. And they're multifaceted. They have enough resources. They have enough resources to cover the world.
I was just saying, whenever they accomplish whatever objective of destroying whatever country, there's always a new country they add to the list. Like they're never going to be satisfied. They're never going to stop.
They never stop.
Yeah.
Are you guys
next it might be Somalia. Because we've been bombing Somalia.
Yeah.
Well, we've been bombing Somalia like 70 times or 80 times this year. Dave DeCamp from Anti-War News is basically the only person that's been reporting on it. Why are we bombing them? What's the goal there? The goal there is to create a civil war. You guys talked about it. But it's that they want to turn America.
Like
they want to turn us against the Somalis.
We're a little downstream from some of like the people that are reporting at like anti-war and whatnot. We don't know about any of this kind of like bombing in Somalia unless we hear it from someone like that kind of an outlet.
Right.
But
are you guys done with this video, or are we?
Yeah, I think we could maybe move on if you want to, or because I was
asking.
talking about the Zog thing, but there's a couple other things. There's the noticer meme, because that's the thing that you hear a lot now is I'm just noticing. Like, what are you calling me anti-Semitic for? All I'm doing is noticing all these Jews everywhere, and it's like that's also not that's explicitly neo-Nazi. It comes from 4chan kind of thing, right? Like,
yep.
So
and my argument to that is Donald J. Trump Jewish? Is J.D. Vance Jewish? Is Peter Thiel Jewish? Is Tulsi Gabbard Jewish? Is RFK Jr. Jewish? It's not about Jews. This is about Zionists. And all of them have signed on to Zionism. Right.
It's about Zionism.
But what I was trying to say earlier was
Jewish people.
Right, the conflation. And you've got the ADL. The ADL, which has been working overtime to try to conflate Judaism and Zionism and make people think that they're the same thing. It serves their interests because then it marginalizes everyone that's actually standing against what Israel is doing, which is murdering children and stealing land and resources.
Right. It's basically just colonization. That's all it is. But by Zionists. So we could say it's just colonization. I don't know how else to put it. And and they're just the next wave of colonizers. I mean, they're been them throughout history. Oh, let me ask you this, Indy. Christopher Columbus, they said, was a Jewish convert. And
Really?
Who said really?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. And remember when they were exiled out of Spain? Like that.
Yep.
The year coincides with Christopher Columbus. So this is a theory, and you tell me what you think. That they say he was looking for spices or whatever, but he was really looking for another place for the Jewish people who were exiled out of Spain to land.
Wouldn't be out of the realm.
And that's when they came to America, and Michael takes up issue with this because I say the slave trade is a hoax, and really some people they did bring from Africa, but it was mostly indigenous Black people in the Americas that they took as prisoners of war and enslaved them. And it makes more economic sense than bring all of them from way the fuck over across on ships, back and forth. It doesn't line up. It doesn't line up. Hold on.
I think both happen.
Hold on, let me finish. I do think both happen. But this is my point. They try to say like we were never here in America, and that's not true. We were here. When they realized they couldn't bring enough Africans back and forth because it didn't make economic sense, that's when what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of these plantations weren't just for picking tobacco and cotton. Some of them were breeding farms to create new enslaved people. That is like a lost part of history that is being well documented now.
I also think they were bringing people in from. I also think they were bringing people in from the West Indies, and from all the Caribbean islands. That you know, there was a significant population of Black people there too that ended up possibly mixed in. Yeah, I hadn't heard that. That's interesting. It would make a lot of sense because especially if the timeline coincides with the exile from Spain, and he could be looking for new land to colonize for sure. And remember that he first landed in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, Michael.
No, I know.
Not at all.
I see a definite possible motivation for like doing a psyop of convincing the FBAs in the U.S. That there really was no transatlantic slave trade at all. So there's this argument that you guys deserve reparations completely evaporates because there was no slave trade at all.
No, we never said that though.
No, I know.
We never said that.
That's because the nuance matters, right? So you have
never
more
said
nuance
there was
arguments.
no slave trade at all.
Right. But
We
I do
just
see
said
some
that
lifters online are trying
the
to make some
levels
kind of
that they
statements
say
like that.
it is not true. That's all we were saying. So
Yeah, and that's perfectly debatable. I mean, the way that they decide, we have enough information to say that this is what happened historically. When you actually look at the evidence of what they're using to make their conclusions, it's often like, how the hell did these people think that it was okay to make such leaps of faith with their conclusions, you know?
there are a lot of mounds in Louisiana, a lot of mounds that mimic the Egyptian temples. I mean, Egyptian pyramids.
Well, that gets to another thing I was going to ask about. The Indies heard about the story that all the natives in North America are actually Israelites. Have you heard that? That's considered to be like fake history, whatever, conspiracy theory, not real. But some people fully believe, that the indigenous people were somehow Israelites.
Is that the Black Hebrew Israelite thing? Is that what that is?
It's the lost 13th tribe. Do you know that stuff?
I've heard of it. If I remember correctly, Marcus was somebody who was into talking about that pretty heavily. Yeah. I didn't get into that conversation with him.
I think it's
from
what
the political matrix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's where it becomes important for us to actually figure out what historically happened, because some people will claim some pretty outlandish things that if we don't have evidence to debunk, then they're free to claim some very strange things as far as what I think.
But when you say it's outlandish, you have to remember, why would people who are oppressing you give you the information to overcome your oppression?
Exactly.
You got to go find it for yourself.
I just say outlandish because it comes across to me as the Jews are behind everything. They're everywhere. Look, they're even the natives all around the world. It's like, what? But let me get to this noticer meme here.
Go ahead.
So, the noticer Wojak seemingly grew out of black-pilled and anti-Semitic communities on 4chan, where anonymous users' worries about being subject to Jewish propaganda took the form of a self-deprecatory meme. The earliest known iteration of the meme was posted to 4chan's X board in September 2021, and again in December of that year. And it looks like this or whatever. Sif's replies for more shit to notice. Extremely aesthetic, high-perched eyebrow. Everything is a data point to him. I'm noticing. Physically incapable of not pointing out every pattern he sees. It's weird because one eye larger than the other to notice things better. Funny thing is, beard worn through the constant chin rubbing, prone to schizophrenia, noticed you're gay just from reading your posts. So we got ableism, we got homophobia, we got some racism here when you add it to like the black guy kind of thing. Like it's the classic, all the tropes of the far right, coming all together, and it's all just a joke, guys, whatever. Where's your sense of humor? Like, by calling himself the noticer, the anti-Semitic chanter characterizes himself as someone who not only recognizes societal patterns that confirms his beliefs, but can't help himself from pointing out his thoughts to other people.
I'm a little confused about this.
Well, because 4chan is kind of confusing. They're a little bit.
Yeah, I'm confused about what they're trying to say here.
So.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just noticing. That's basically what they're saying. Because I'm not saying that it's that they run the world. I'm just noticing that it just so happens that all the executives and all the companies that are owned right now, all the social media companies are owned. They can point at all the banking and all the look at the hedge funds and Larry Fink and the guy that has the building from the World Trade Center that now has the U.S. Bank building, right? So there are a lot of things that can be noticed, let's just say. So it makes it easy to point all of this stuff out, but it is not a monolith.
Remember when Kanye West, when he was like, I'm just noticing stuff. I didn't say that out of nowhere. And he pulled up the chart of the people that control the media and and pulling up the names and stuff, and it was all like Jewish people. He's like, I didn't create this chart. This is reality. I'm just noticing it. And then he goes and marries a Jewish woman again. And I'm like, well, dude, well, you should probably shut the fuck up. Because his wife, Brianna, is a Jewish lady. I'm like, bruh, like, stop
Didn't
complaining.
he do a song last year that literally had a title called Heil Hitler?
Yeah,
and got
I
him
think so.
canceled everywhere?
I never heard it, but I think so. I'm not a Kanye, I don't follow.
I've never been too much of a follower either. I don't think.
And there are the problem is when good comedy and parody crosses the line, and you want to laugh at it, but at the same time you know it's damaging. And there certainly are. The account I'm thinking of, this is Jake GTV, makes these really funny news videos that are highly.
They are really funny.
They're really funny.
They're really funny.
And they use every trope in the book, going back to the goy slop. No, they're noticing. Back to this.
Yes.
Okay. And they literally call the Asian reporter Ching Chong.
Ching Chong. Hey, Ching Chong, back to you.
But it's so normalized, then it's hard to push back against it because everyone's laughing. It's like, then you're just the guy without a sense of humor.
Right, you're a buzzkill, exactly. Because you're the one now noticing.
Ironically, right? So this is
right.
This last little bit. So there was the noticer meme, and then it's kind of evolving into the great noticing, which is a catchphrase largely considered to be an anti-Semitic dog whistle that promotes the conspiracy theory that Israel and Jewish people in general hold a sizable influence on American and global politics. If only they didn't, because this is what they seem to have actively made an effort to do. Not Jewish people so much, but Israeli Zionists, Christian and Jewish Zionists, trying to make sure that they have a sizable influence on American and global politics. Like that's the problem for us to be able to, as left-wing anti-Zionists, we have to attack.
How do you separate that? Right.
We have to do our duty of establishing for people like the history has to be told correctly. And if you're going to do that, you have to acknowledge this sizable influence and actually figure out how to talk about it instead of just like dismissing it as this is why the Nazis were right, I guess, kind of thing. Right. Like,
well, and I would even put Tucker Carlson in that realm where he's never been a fan of I would put him more in the anti-Jewish, although buddies with Netanyahu, or at least used to be, allegedly, but they all claim that he's a white supremacist, anti-Semitic. Well, and that's where I think you get into this. The difference is white supremacy and Christian white supremacy, right, is very similar to Zionism in a way, I see, because it others everybody else. It puts them at an elevated position.
I'm glad you mentioned this. Like, I went back to, Fox News scrubbed all of his videos from back in the day.
Wow.
All of them. I went back and I was like, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, completely gone off YouTube. So I consider him to be a psyop because he's one of the many ones. You remember when all of these people were falling off of these shows, Joy Reid, Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo,
and going independent. And
went independent.
Anna Kasparian, sort of, but she never left. But she started her own Substack. Yeah, I wrote about this.
Yeah, mm-hmm. So it's like, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel genuine. It feels like they are scared of what independent media is doing and saying.
That's right.
And they needed to counteract that. So they fired all these people, supposedly, to go into their own independent, quote unquote, independent media to do the same shit. And Tucker Carlson is trying to reinvent himself. But, he is not reinvented. He's controlled opposition. This is my humble opinion, okay? He's controlled opposition. He's talking about Trump, but then when all the oil companies were in the White House, he was right
He
there,
invited him.
clapping as Trump was coming in. His son works for J.D. Vance. So what are we talking about here?
His dad ran Voice of America, which is CIA radio for decades in the 70s. He worked. Tell me how many people have worked and had their own hosted show on all three major news networks, from MSNBC to CNN to Fox News. Not very. Greta Van Susteren, maybe. Like, there's a handful, but Tucker's the biggest, most famous one out of all of them. And it's because of who his family is.
And Indy, did you see where he got caught in a lie where he had said he didn't know his dad was CIA until after he retired or something, and then somebody like juxtaposed that to a video where he was like a year or two before that saying that his father was in the CIA. So
he applied.
They think,
and
yeah,
Tucker
he
applied.
applied. Yeah, exactly. So it's like they think that we're idiots. Not all of us are idiots in America, okay? Some of us pay attention.
No, but they think if we're enough of a minority, it doesn't matter if a few of us are noticing that the majority will be fooled. So then it still works.
As long as the majority, it still works in their favor, yes.
But you can fool whatever. What's that saying? You can fool some of the people some of the time.
Sometimes. That's Bob Marley. But you can't fool all the people all the time. And now you see the light. And what you gotta do? Stand up for your right.
Yep.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah, and he was Rastafari. We got to talk about the Rastafari.
Nick and Jimmy.
Let's get to this little. So now that we
full disclosure, I personally met Jimmy Dore. I was once comped tickets to his show, and I bought tickets for another show. It was several years ago. I don't watch really Jimmy Dore now anymore, though I am an admin for the unofficial Jimmy Dore Discord, or a mod. I don't really spend much time in there. It was something that Reef had started, and that we actually had first met each other through that Discord 6 years ago. Neither one of us are active in it anymore.
And full disclosure for me, I was a huge Jimmy Dore fan back in the day. And now I'm just like disillusioned on him.
I'm disappointed.
All three
I'm
of us.
very disappointed.
We all used to be fans. We all used to, like, I would have been happy to have met him one day. But then I started to see the trajectory he was on, and he's disappointed me. And now to me, he's like more of a lesson, a cautionary tale. So now that we had that little
a little kumbaya moment.
Right. Well, what I mean is now that we've established with the Zog and the noticer and like the background, the history to those terms, I think that is helpful to then watch a video like this, and it maybe changes your perception about the acceptability of Nick's. You know, he just like Rathbone, they're dismissing everything as if you're ridiculous if you're siding with you're siding with the mainstream media if you think that we're anti-Semitic because of all the anti-Semitic things they're doing, actually. But then to them, they've blinded themselves to they think that they're that no mud will stick on them, whatever, that they don't deserve to be held accountable for this. There is nothing to be held accountable for, you know? So let's play a little bit here.
Let's explain how I think it's a legitimate position for us to oppose any state, especially a genocidal state that was formed on the Nakba. Now you have people on CNN that's claiming that if we do not, this new left-right coalition that we're talking about, Jimmy, It is formed only because of this rise of anti-Semitism. It's deeply rooted in anti-Semitism. This clip is crazy, and I want to hear your response to it.
It looks to me as though this conversation on the right, the new right in particular, which is suffused with anti-Semitism, is a version of the conversation that Democrats and the left struggled with the last election.
And they got a sister to say it. Isn't that great? That's the best when you get a sister.
It pisses me off, man. It pisses me off. They always get these sellout coon Negroes to repeat this. Like Jesse, not Jesse Jackson, but they have all these black liberals. Their number one job is go on CNN and MSNBC and explain why there's anti-Semitism crisis.
Well,
and go ahead, Jimmy.
Van Jones.
Yeah, Van Jones.
He's the biggest Zionist sellout. Yeah, so that's amazing to see that. The problem that the Democrats had with anti-Semitism.
Yep.
They would.
Go ahead.
So Van Jones was a very he was a black activist that got plucked out of what's the word? Obscurity. Wait.
Obscurity, yeah.
Obscurity. Thank you. And he went from dashikis and going hard for Black Americans to a shell of himself.
3-piece suits.
So he's not lying about that part.
Oh, no, I talked to Keith McHenry. Keith McHenry used to be on Food Line and do Food Not Bombs with Van Jones. He's like, I can't believe the person that he's become. It's beyond disappointing.
It's beyond disappointing.
There's a similar thing with Jimmy.
It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment.
That's exactly how I feel about Jimmy, though. It's like I can't believe how the person he's become, you know? And
I'm in a lot of ways.
Nick here.
Bill Maher.
In a lot of ways, the pandering to the gold, the gold stuff, the Rumble, that he has someone on to preach financial stuff. That's a paid contributor. Like, you're going to really offer a paid sponsor spot on your own show and give your own credibility away for that? It doesn't really seem to make much sense. Some of the people he's brought on, again, it's not about having a conversation with somebody you disagree with. You can do that. It's doing it in an environment and platforming them to your audience that tells your audience that you have some form of agreement with this person and they should also be listening to them.
And then he has the unmitigated gall to act like he's not hurt. Y'all the same people.
Right, because when
in
you
2026.
The favorite punching bags is the way I like. We all have our favorite punching bag, and then when we're used the mainstream media that are always they're paid liars. So of course they're the lowest hanging fruit. We can always go to them to point to everyone and say, look at how bad they are. Look at how better I am in comparison. But that doesn't really fly when you get kind of deeper into the funnel. You get more into the insider baseball of the politics that's happening. Then you recognize that while they have valid critiques of the mainstream media pundits that are a bunch of empty airheads, that doesn't make their analysis as valuable as it, but for what we really need it for. You need to go past these talking heads. So do you want me to keep playing now?
Yeah.
Yep,
right.
Go ahead.
Wouldn't even allow a Palestinian to speak at the DNC. They wouldn't even allow a Palestinian to speak.
Al Sharpton, he has a show on MSNBC where you always talk about racism and play the culture war game. Like, he's a culture warrior. And what he does, he do this show where he's like, man, let's talk about the problem with how MAGAs are racist and anti-Semitic movement and how there's we got to admit there is a legitimate anti-Semitism problem on the left. We got to confront it. and fam, we just talk about the fascism in Australia. And Jimmy, the reason why I give no quarter to this talking point, I've been debunking these anti-Semitism hoax because they are trying to turn the United States to Australia in real time. In the UK, they arrest more people than any country in the world based on what they post on social media. People who are support Palestine action. So I think the left is playing with fire, even legitimizing this nonsense. There's no one,
but they're not the left.
Exactly. And
he does a disservice by calling the people on CNN the left. Honestly, he's doing everyone a disservice by acknowledging them to be the left. They're right-wing centrists at best. All right. And that's why they're all seeing eye to eye. She also said something about there being a new right that is, it's not anti-Semitic, it's anti-Israel. And that's really what they're trying to say, but they can't say that because a lot of people would be anti-Israel once you find out what Israel is doing to Christians, to Muslims, to Palestinians, and to the Lebanese, and to Iran, and to Syria, and everywhere else that they're occupying and demolishing. Apple Maps erasing all of the Lebanese towns from Apple Maps and replacing them with the Hebrew names. What? Yeah.
That's that new right thing. That's the whole thing that's been happening with the MAGA split, and people are maybe struggling to understand that. If you don't understand the right well enough. But I
think part of it, that's like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massey and
Ron
even this
Paul.
guy Joe Kahn, okay, that they picked off.
Like Scott Horton, anti-war, like you're saying. Like there's these America firsters that are anti-imperialist, even though they're on the right, and it kind of is a little confusing. It's like, how are you right-wing and anti-imperialist in America first all at the same time? And I think that ultimately the problem is that they want, like, to, in their conservative mind, they want to actually really be America first, means to not be whatever all over the world, you know, trying to be imperialistic. But what makes America America is it's imperial, like it's been imperialistic from the beginning, kind of thing. This is what people don't. I think Horton, with the American Revolutionary War or whatever against the British, right? They immediately became imperialistic. It was not very long that they were free from the British Empire before they started with the same kind of imperialist aspirations.
Horton's interesting. I think his thing is that he wants to have the U.S. to have a strong military in case we're attacked. He does not want us to be the aggressors and destabilize countries elsewhere around the world and be that destabilizing force. The problem there goes, and you know, you said that maybe in our notes before, was the difference is that these guys are capitalists versus us that are anti-capitalist.
Big difference.
Right? And I think Horton and libertarians are capitalists. And the problem is when you have an arms manufacturing industry that based on capitalism and a war economy, unless you're at war, your economy's stagnant.
Exactly. Right. That's Lenin's insight about imperialism that people just don't understand because nobody has read Lenin anymore, and they don't like make it available for us to, like, they're actively not letting us learn about that stuff in the West. And so of course it's a big blind spot for us, you know. But that's where I think what we were talking about, like more offline about this was in the independent media space, like the libertarians, the right wingers, because they're capitalists, they're better funded, you know, they have a more efficient operation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the better way to go, because their analysis is not as good because of their blind spot, because their libertarianism, essentially. It's sad for us. We have to kind of learn some kind of praxis from them because we need to be more effective in monetizing our movement. But that's just the thing about being the more leftist, right? Like, because we're not seeking profits, we're maybe not building our business as efficiently as the right wingers do, but because they are seeking profits, they're not building their ideology as effectively as we are.
I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think also that I think most of the people on the left just have no money. Period. You know, it tends to be that the more money you have, the more conservative you get, allegedly. I wouldn't be able to tell you, but that tends to be the trend, that the more money people have, the more conservative their beliefs end up politically.
Well, I agree with that, because I think that money affects us in a deeply psychological level. And I think that the implications of that are problematic for the left-wing solutions. For the working class doesn't have enough money to to establish their to get any control of power. And so the obvious solution should be get more money, get more power. Problem is that the money affects us in such a psychological way that I think the better strategy is to do the decelerationist approach, do the anti-money, anti-capital kind of approach, where if we can find a way to live outside of the monetary system, then you've accomplished the first pillar of achieving the moneyless society. That's just, there's all kinds of problems with that method too. I'm just saying I don't see us effectively earning enough money to get out of this, because they just move the goalposts, right? When we raise minimum wage, they just raise prices. And so we're trapped in a dilemma. We have not resolved the contradiction theoretically, and we think we can start doing practice without having resolved the contradiction. It doesn't work.
Right.
The chat is going crazy. I wanted to show you guys this. Do you want to play more of this, Michael?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to play? Or you're saying you want something to share after this, or
yeah?
Do you think we've played enough of this?
That. No. Right. I want to make sure you get your point across.
I think it's also sad and frustrating for me to watch these two guys that claim to be post-duopoly and anti-duopoly and against both sides. All they talk about, it seems, is shitting on Democrats and once in a while criticizing a Republican. Exactly. And it's like there's more to going on here.
Rarely. Jimmy Dore was sitting here, like, I still watch him just to see what they're talking about, and he is like saying, I think all of the people around him are lying to him, and they're giving him, like he doesn't realize what the American people are feeling, because he has all these yes men around him lying to him. And I'm like, isn't he a grown fucking man?
That's his buddies Tucker Carlson and RFK in his ear.
Yeah, you can't tell me that he can't pick up the phone, his own phone that he's tweeting all the goddamn time, and read an article every now and again.
He can't read, allegedly. He literally can't read.
I know.
And doesn't want to, even if he could.
I know.
Like, they need to show it to him in pictures and have it presented to him in one paragraph burst, because that's all you're getting his attention for. It's embarrassingly bad. And everybody knows it, and yet they won't do anything. They could 25th Amendment him tomorrow with all the poopy pants stuff and all the Biden-esque gaffes that we've seen out of this guy this year already. Like, what are we waiting for? What they want is for the American public to be begging for J.D. Vance.
Right. Yeah. Their double standards on their hypocrisy on their eugenics is kind of hilarious at some point.
He's been epically failing.
Like I was saying,
that's a whole other story.
They're so eugenic.
The way they made fun of Biden for basically the same shit, and now they just look the other way.
Look the other way.
The sundowning stuff.
Like,
I'm just saying, like the way that they discriminate against, they want to sterilize people for being like mentally challenged and whatnot, and then they completely, as long as they're ruling class, they give this free pass to their own mentally challenged children and let them be rulers of the free world in a sense. Like, how ridiculous, how bankrupt philosophically their eugenics is, right? So,
well, go ahead and play this, because I want to show you another Vance Jones, like a Vance Jones in the reverse. After you finish this part of the segment.
Yeah, sounds good. Then we got to get wrapping up.
We're in a deeply pro-Palestine crowd. There's no one going around saying, "Oh, fuck the Jews. We hate the Jews." Like, do distance. We're friendly. Do distance. Do we bully do dissidents? Like, do we hate them because they're Jewish? It's an absurd narrative that no one should even justify. And
I just have to say about that, like, oh, I have Jewish friends. See, doesn't it mean I'm not anti-Semitic? But the point is that you're using LaRouchites as your particular Jewish friends, and that's something that I'm gonna have to get that article written about to really nail the nails in the
If
coffin.
you don't stop talking about that article and write the shit.
I understand, because this is the thing. That's not your average Jew, okay? And LaRouche had some pretty serious anti-Semitic problems himself, but because he was so vehemently against Israel, it gets treated like he was anti-Zionist, not anti-Jewish. And this is exactly the problem, because they're listening to LaRoucheites that are, you know,
I also don't know about Keaton and Russell's religious, you know, like, are they culturally Jewish? Do they go to temple? Does Keaton send his kids to Hebrew school? Like, I don't know the extent to which to how religious they are and how embedded in the religion they are versus just, hey, I'm Jewish but I'm anti-Zionist. I'm not really sure. Not like it necessarily matters, but
either.
But you're talking, and I've met both those guys. Met Russell a couple of times in the city. Once was before a Jimmy Dore show. Funny enough.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to briefly
Well, you were trying to go to another. I had the next one.
I'm just saying, because we had to bring up the LaRoucheite thing, and people are gonna.
No, you brought up the LaRoucheite thing.
I'm making up shit. All I'm saying is to share this little article from the Guardian, because this happened like a long time ago. This Jewish kid was invited to a LaRouche thing. They didn't realize he was Jewish, and then he like had an altercation at this organization meeting, and then they like chased him out into traffic, and then they covered it up. They got the German police and everything to claim that it was a suicide. And so I'm saying that the fact that there's the accusations of anti-Semitism of LaRouche and their organization is very real and very serious, but people want to act like I'm just a conspiracy theorist about that kind of stuff. So, yeah, sorry if you wanted to get back to this. Let me get back to this video.
Just so you know, they're saying that the people on you guys know, but nobody else knows. So now Energy is telling me that my lights will be restored by 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Wow.
So I don't know how much gas I have in this generator.
You might have to go get some more gas.
Yeah, I don't even know where to put it. I need to learn more about this generator. Damn.
All right, we better get.
So after we get off here, I'm gonna have to go get some gas and try to figure out how to add
get a gas can. Get one of those red gas cans.
I have one. I just gotta figure out. I don't know where to put it in the generator. I'm gonna have to look it up on YouTube.
All right, let's get moving on then, since you got shit to do.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yep. Okay.
So
I gotta get walking Bella too soon.
So are you done with this?
Let's move to yours then. If we're running out of time. So yeah, I think we made
We're
our.
not running out of time. I don't think. But I wanted to show a reverse of J.D. Vance, and interestingly enough, this is. I can't stand this woman, but she's making a really good point. I gotta bring the volume up. So this is a.
Laura Ingraham and Justin Pearson, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you remember what? Okay, well, let me just play it.
Now, we just came across a video he made at a prestigious liberal arts college in 2016. Now, check out if you can spot the difference between Justin then and Justin now.
How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this by partnering with organizations from the Boone Democrats to the Boone Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But
why are you trying to sound like Martin Luther King? Anyway, go ahead.
that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last, But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes.
What?
What the fuck?
And we just came across a video he made at a prestigious liberal.
Okay, that was it. In a nutshell, he was like a very centrist Democrat, and then he found an opening. I forgot what was happening in Congress. It was
the
like
Republicans expelled him for the Tennessee State House.
Mm-hmm. Him and the other guy. I forgot his name.
But I think that was in response. He had some kind of a filibuster, if I remember correctly.
Him and another black congressman from Tennessee. I forget his name. But yeah, what happened to the change? Like what are we talking about here? It just shows me the ebbs and flows of politicians based on what might seem popular at the moment. Be yourself. Be consistent. Don't be a Jimmy Dore.
Don't be a clout chaser.
Okay? Don't be a clout chaser. Don't be a Bill Maher. Don't be I could go on and on with the names. Don't be a Theo Vaughn. Don't be
Jackson
a Joe
Hinkle.
Rogan. Don't be a Russell Brand. Don't be any of these people. What are you doing? What are we doing here? Be consistent in your beliefs. Stand 10 toes down and stand in your square. That's a basketball reference.
Yeah.
Well, it's opportunism, right? This is the criticism that Marx and Stalin and Lenin have all been very adamant on, that opportunists will undo our class struggle kind of thing. And this is the accelerationist is basically an opportunist, where they think things have to be happening faster because everyone's being too soft and weak or whatever. We need to force things to happen, right? And then that's not, we need to be more like the turtle or whatever versus the hare. The slow and steady wins the race. Like, we don't need capitalism gone tomorrow. We need it gone for good, right? So we need to have the strategy that might take the longer time, but effectively ensures that body is buried and stays, like, does not turn into a zombie again. Like,
Golden Monarch said, "Don't be a Kim Iverson."
Kim Iverson, for sure.
I was wondering what happened to her too. I was like, "What the hell? Wait a minute, what the hell, Leontay? What the hell, Barry? Like, what is happening?" It's like some podcasters grift on this ebbing and flowing with what is popular at the moment. So what you're telling me is you don't have conviction. Like, as long as we stand on our conviction, I think they just run with the money. However the money comes this way or that way or what have you. I wasn't brought up like that. My daddy would, may he rest in power, would disown me if I was doing some shit like that. So I won't. I'm gonna stay me.
Again, I think to get back to the original point, which was the difference between left-wing and right-wing anti-Zionism, which is that the left-wing anti-Zionism tends to police and be very careful about avoiding lumping in and making it about all Jews, and about using the slurs, because language matters. We want to single out the people that are encouraging genocide and ethnic cleansing and murder and put them in a category. that is separate from me, and my religion does not dictate, thankfully, whether I should support that or not. Though the ADL and our Congress and a lot of our bought off representatives would like to pass laws to make it the exact opposite of that. Want to make it illegal and put me in jail for criticizing Israel and saying that Israel shouldn't exist as a country because they're murdering children.
And I'm glad that you said that, indeed, because some people feel like we shouldn't have labels. And my understanding is, if you don't label things, how can you put words to thought and have a constructive criticism about those type of ideologies or communities? You have to label things in order to be able to have a legitimate conversation about the things that you're talking about. If we have no labels, then where are we going to start the conversation?
Well, that we're all independents, we're all Americans, and we all want basically the same things. And regardless of whatever label, independent, you want to put on that, something that brings us together versus dividing us, which is what a lot of these labels tends to want to do, which is to separate us into little groups. Reese, we started the network literally by saying labels are bad, stay independent. That was literally the slogan for INN. We've got a t-shirt that says so. Okay, but
I definitely disagree.
Well, that's fair.
It's a baby with bathwater thing, though, because labels can be bad, they can be misused, but I don't think we can completely get rid of them. That would leave us with a world that we have no signifiers to for us to relate to reality in a way. Well, I would say with the slurs and everything, the left wing in general, but about Zionism, we get kind of accused of the civility politics of thought policing because we're trying to encourage people not to do all these slurs and whatnot. But it's about psychological reactance, like you're saying about you can't, if you want to bring people together and not divide them, and all of this like free for all with like anyone can slur anybody with whatever they want, all that, like the practical results for the pragmatists is this division and not unity. And so even if you think it's whatever, not so ethically problematic, tactically, it doesn't really make any sense for us to be encouraging all of this infighting.
Mm.
And well, there are some that would say it's not really infighting because while we agree on some things, we vehemently disagree on others. And that really puts us in a different group. And I don't know what the answer is, man. I'm just sitting here trying to figure out like you guys.
Sometimes you gotta call a spade a spade. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But thanks for joining us, Indy. That was a great interview. Hope to have you back on in the near future. So, but I know we're all busy. So.
Yeah, man, great conversation. Again, I've been a fan of the channel. I love what you guys do. I encourage other people to subscribe, to support, to donate wherever possible. If you guys have a Ko-fi or a Patreon or somewhere that people can support you, no?
We haven't.
You don't even want their money?
No.
I got a Ko-fi thing, but I don't like to. I want Abby to receive some support for the work that she's been doing, because I've had a few donations, but I think it's only fair that she gets some. I want us to have a donation page that we can split what we get, but then we'd have to have like a joint bank account or something. Isn't it funny how the system forces us to operate in individual kind of ways?
You know, there might be one little loophole that I can think of just off the top of my head, and that would be setting up. Yeah, I think you still need a bank account somewhere, unfortunately. PayPal through Stripe. And then Stripe, you monetize at Substack. So you guys set up a Substack. People can then subscribe monthly or annually. You get paid through Stripe. It costs about 12.5% in fees, and you end up with the rest that you guys could split.
And that's better than YouTube's 30%.
Yes, it
Not
is.
perfect, but it's a start.
You know, that might be one alternative, you know, one way to go through that. And I would be happy to help you guys figure out Substack.
You've been very helpful in helping us figure out a lot of stuff. I just keep telling Michael, like, well, you might need the money more than me, so let's just promote you right now. And when I need help, I'll tell you. I'm not doing wonderful, but I'm not I'm not like super bad off.
No,
yeah, but you both deserve to get paid for your time. It's not about who's doing worse. It's both of you guys invest a lot of time in this, and you both deserve to get something for it, especially if your audience wants to take care of you and support you in that way. I 100% believer in both of you guys participating somehow.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We'll figure that out. Yeah.
That's my take.
Like the idea of the white guy gets all the money and the black girl gets none. That can't be okay.
Can't argue with you there, man. I can't argue with you there.
If the black girl told you it's okay for now,
I guess it's okay if she said it's okay, right? Isn't that's often how if she consented, she ain't no whore. You know what I mean? Like, that's like material conditions are kind of taking the consent away in a way, you know. So. And
now we got it on tape. We got it on tape.
I've said it on tape plenty of times.
So do we?
I'll let them know.
I was just gonna real quick. Let me pop up your channel so we can, in case anybody doesn't know where to find you.
I feel like the fam is here though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see I've got the URLs. IndieNewsNow.com. I built this news aggregator site, so it brings in independent news from across 100 different sites. And there you can support, and there's a little bit more about the network. There's even a watch live. I actually think I'm running a clip right now, and you can actually watch it live if you go to Indie News. That's the INN YouTube channel, and that's where just about all our shows are, except for boats. Boat Smashing into Boats we do on INN 8, the Ocho. We have a whole separate channel just for reaction and wrestling shows.
I didn't even know.
See, the thing is that we do a reaction show every Sunday night. That's funny and goofy, and me and Reef just smoke weed and get high, and we watch dumb videos. All right, and we were doing that on INN, but we noticed that YouTube didn't know what our channel was, so our numbers were suffering a little bit because they couldn't tell that we were actually like a news channel, and they weren't serving us to people that were looking for news. So there's the channels for the so we created a separate channel called the Ocho, where it's like the lighter side of INN. So Angel does sports stuff, and he does a wrestling show over there, and we do boat smashing into other boats. He does gaming content over there if he decides to play video games. That way we keep that off the main news channel, and YouTube knows that our channel is a news channel.
Okay. I call Reef my panda bear, and his co-host.
Colin's the Care Bear?
Yeah, well, y'all say Care Bear. I call him my teddy bear.
Well, we actually have a Care Bear t-shirt at the INN shop for Colin. I actually had one designed for him, and he sent my kids Care Bears for Hanukkah one year. Oh, it's so cute.
Isn't he like an elementary school teacher or something?
Early childhood education, pre-K.
Pre-K. Okay, so that's a man. That's a man of my own heart. Because I have a lot of people in education in my family.
Well, it's just so funny because my sister, her name is Karen, and her nickname when we were growing up was Care Bear, and she's in early childhood educator, and she has the same nickname and the same exact same job as Colin, and it's just small world.
That's
after
that's really funny. That is funny.
My sister-in-law teaches pre-K. Her sister, so I just call her my sister. She teaches elementary. My Black Life, my girlfriend, she teaches. She actually was a principal, assistant principal at one point. She did special needs teaching at one point, and then she became an assistant principal, and now she's doing work with. She goes to different schools for like suicide prevention, drug prevention, almost like a counselor for children in her network or what have you. So yeah, I love the kids. They're amazing to me.
I got 3 of them myself.
I don't have any. Don't want any.
It's a challenge raising them in 2026 right now. I'm dealing with devices and kids that want to join group chats and a whole different reality, and peer pressure, and they all want to get on social media. We're trying to fight this fight to keep them off of screens and outside playing. The kids don't want to go outside and play. They'd rather just be entertained all day. And it's, or just have a chat with their friends. And it's really, it's a lot of work right now to balance everything and to teach these kids and manage the rest of the world. How do you explain? I'm trying to really keep them sheltered and not really paying attention to what's happening in the world, because they're going to know about that at some point, and it's going to confront them soon enough. So I want to let them be kids for as long as possible. And, but I don't want to mess them up and keep them sheltered to the point that they're naive and don't know anything. And again, that balance is really, really challenging right now, I gotta say.
Really? Yeah. Like my niece is 16. She has a huge Mac computer and all kind of stuff, but it's in the living room. So if she wants to get on the computer, she has to go in the living room so it could be monitored. Like, so her parents could walk by and make sure she's not on something she shouldn't be on or what have you.
Yeah. Nowadays,
it's for us, the kids have tablets. They all have like these, I got them 2-in-1 tablets that they're touch screen. They have keyboards and they go online, but they're somewhat restricted. They're young. I mean, my kids are still in grade school. They're not even in middle school yet.
You're tech savvy, so you know how to put on parental controls and stuff like that. Even on TV.
But even still, they get around me and they're all
don't know how to do
watching
that.
YouTube shorts. I can't block it. I can't stop them from watching this shit, and it's infecting their brain. I hear it in the language that they come back to me with, in the way that they're disrespecting us as parents, in the way that they're dismissive of everything, and they yell at each other to have a normal conversation, because that's what they hear on YouTube shorts. They're all yelling at each other all day long. Oh my God, it gives me anxiety. Anyway,
the crazy
I'm going to talk about this crap.
No, the crazy part about that, Indy, is like I'll see these like reality shows of these young people just like crashing out on each other and stuff, and I'm like, these have to be foster kids, because there's no way my mom and my dad would allow me to be on a reality show and embarrass our family name like this. So
everybody wants to be famous.
Be foster children, right?
No, they're not. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants I got one daughter wants to be Instagram famous. She thinks she's going to be a celebrity and she's going to be a multi-million. And you let her play into the fantasy a little bit, but you prepare her for life, like at the same time. But I don't want to indulge it too much. But at this age already, we're talking about Sephora. And they're worried about all kinds of stuff they shouldn't be worried about way too early, and spending way too much money on it to be on top of it all.
Yeah.
We really need to blame MTV. There we go. It's all MTV's fault. It's that rap music. It's that hip hop.
No, it was those reality TV shows.
Right.
Oh well, and when they started privatizing prisons, then and we discussed this, Michael, if you remember, how the influx of privatized prisons, how they I forget the name of the rap group who went into this private meeting, and they were like, we need you to start like rapping about drugs and hypersexuality, because we're trying to, like push the school to prison pipeline. And they were like, what? Oh, you haven't seen that, Andy?
It's kind of like we're going to
reminds me of CB4.
You know?
You remember the Chris Rock movie, CB4?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, that's a hilarious movie. But it's a parody. It's a comedy that talks about like rappers that got locked up, and while they're locked up, like somebody steals their identity. Chris Rock and his buddies steal their identity, and they get really famous. Phil Hartman's in it. It's a really, really funny movie. CB4, old school.
Had, like,
they could never make that movie now.
Braids and plaits with bow rats in his hair or something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
yep.
I'm gonna encourage you to watch They Clone Tyrone.
They Clone Tyrone. Okay, I'll write that down.
Watch that one. That's like the new age version of CB4.
Okay.
Jamie Foxx is in it.
Nice. Well, I'm glad we managed to go just long enough to get those movie recommendations. Now I got.
Oh, thank you, old man Barker. Crazy Bone, yeah. Crazy Bone. If you look it up on YouTube, he was doing an interview and he talks about how he was invited into this secret meeting, and they explained to them what they were trying to do to like push Black youth into the prison system.
Doesn't surprise me.
Crazy Bone.
Bad.
Definitely worth checking out. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with. I got to get going. Hopefully you guys have a good night and everything. Any last
words? Don't be rushing us off.
No, I'm saying.
You don't know if Andy and I ready to go.
You guys want to hang out a little bit?
Yeah, I'll head out. I'm gonna head out too. I gotta get the kids soon. But yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. Again, I appreciate the invite. Definitely would come back again if we can make a time slot work. Schedule's tough. I'm doing 2 to 3 shows a week, and usually they're against when you guys are doing your shows, unfortunately. So the time slots don't always align. I really appreciate you making time and accommodating, in the afternoon for me to be able to do that. And I enjoy having this conversation with you guys. And anytime we can do something, I'm always down.
Old man Barker said, "All right, come back now. Come back now, you hear?"
All right.
OMB, good peeps.
All right. Thank you so much, Indy. You enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too, fam. See you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, have a good one. Peace. All right. Normally we have like a closer video. Do you want to just wrap up a bit?
Do I have a closer video? Let me see. I don't think I do have a closer video because we didn't really know this was happening until. Yeah. Let me see if I have a closer video. Oh, you want to talk about I could talk about something.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as far as all the things with the Indy's dealing with his kids, I got all the same issues with the screen time and the social media, except the one extra thing.
I know we've talked about this.
Now we also have to worry about our kids talking to AI as much as we got to worry about our own, the AI screwing up our own brains. My daughter had they have AI that does like role play, and she'll talk to it like they can write their own like story, and be their own characters, and like the AI will, like, instead of having to go talk to real people or whatever just to pass the time, she's just hanging out with the artificial intelligence now, and it's a little bit concerning. So
yeah, that is a little bit concerning. But
like,
if they have their own tablets,
because we got the problem of hypocrisy, right? Like, we're trying to say we can use it as adults for the reasons that we're using it for, because we know how to handle it. But at the end of the day, we just sound like AI for me and not for thee.
AI for me and not for. How about AI for none of us? I mean, when they had to come, and the man went to Congress, the man who created AI went to Congress and was like, "Hey, I'm asking you, we got some serious shit here. You need to regulate us." It's basically what he was begging Congress to regulate what he created. That's a red flag.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, they're shooting outside.
Well, now it's gonna very much unrelated, whatever, but just a little thing that I'd heard that we should talk about. I don't know, maybe tomorrow or something, but the Wayback Machine, the archive websites. They've started blocking the like the mainstream media, like New York Times and the Guardian, and them. They've stopped. They're starting to not allow their like, they're going to sue the Wayback Machine and the archive people for using their articles allegedly for AI scraping. And so they're trying to ban our ability to have a record, an online record of all the articles and whatnot that the mainstream media is producing, or whatever. And I think really the motivation is to cover up the genocide that the U.S. is engaged with, right? And Israel. So are you hearing something I can't hear? Something outside?
I'm sorry. They were shooting outside. Not on my street, but I could hear it because it's loud. It stopped. Right. I don't know what's about to happen.
I got garbage trucks going around outside.
Jesus.
I really do got to get going.
All right. Well, let me call Bella then. Bella.
Bella, you ready? Finally.
Bella.
She's been waiting patiently.
Hey, sweetheart. Hey, Bella.
Now it's raining, so hopefully nobody's at the park. But if I let her play, she'll get all wet. So whatever. It's all good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate it. I'll let you get going, and I can end it. I can end it for us.
Sure. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you guys. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central. Love you, fam. Oh, it's just me now. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, well, I guess it's just me now. I was trying to click on the overlay, but I guess it's not happening. There it is. There it is. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. If you can't make it, see you next time.